Phoenix Down Radio is on the air. With your hosts,
Klauss Nightbringer,
Seyrr Kimono,
Chille,
and Luna Vox.
Welcome everybody to Phoenix Down Radio, episode number 80. How's everybody doing today?
pretty good actually.
It's
Good
some
to hear.
sort of time, so I'm okay.
It is a time and a place, and
It's a time where it's reasonable for you to still be awake.
yes, right.
And
That's
that-
kind of a rare thing. Well, Chille's always awake, so
Yeah, I was gonna say, when do I
That's
sleep?
why I said reasonable.
yep.
By
Like
the
I
way,
said,
I love the outfit, Seyrr.
Thank you. I spent a lot of time running Readerana and got everything except the body. I will look like Hero King Delita if it kills me, or more likely a bunch of other people.
all
Very,
right.
sorry, Klauss.
Want to apologize to everybody for us missing our normal time of Saturday night. I kind of had an emergency pop up at last minute, and we had to end up canceling the show at that point. But thanks
Life
to
happens at ya.
exactly.
Yeah.
But thanks to Seyrr and Chille's wonderful time, or just pure luck,
Time
I
skip.
guess we can call it. We're able to go ahead and take care of the show now. So thank you to everybody who checks us out on the podcast. And if you happen to be here live at twitch.tv/PhoenixDownRadio, thank you so much. All right. So what have you guys been up to in the past two and a half weeks?
I made
Uh,
like the best baked potato ever. Oh my god, it was so good.
Baked potatoes, huh?
Sure, one of those. I mean, I imagine that the internal structure is similar, so Chille, I'm gonna rub you down with oil so that your skin gets nice and crisp in the oven.
And then sprinkle salt, Alamegan salt, like Salt Bay.
There's a reason you sprinkle salt from that high up. That way you get like a good even distribution. If you sprinkle it low, then like it clumps up in some areas.
Well,
You
he
don't
did
clump
it
it
from
up
that
and
height
down,
in that way because he thinks he's being cool doing it. But
I mean, there's style points to it, but you want to sprinkle from a height.
yeah,
Look,
no,
that's the
agreed.
police coming.
The
Did you hear
Popoto
the
police,
sirens?
they're coming for you,
Oh.
Chille, or they're
They're
coming for
coming.
Seyrr for his
Hey,
masticating
hey.
of popotos.
The popo, thank you.
The popopodes. Popotos.
Po.
5 times fast.
Anything else in game or within
Oh.
Final Fantasy?
Well, running all of that Readerana, plowed through Alpha Escape in one evening. Thank you for that, Klauss. Thank you also for that, Svender. We had fun.
That was a good time,
apparently
actually.
Apparently, people like listening to my reactions on these things. I'm
Oh, I
happy
missed
that I
it.
did not disappoint.
Yeah, unfortunately, Chille did miss it, but it was a pretty good time. It was kind of later at night, I think, on Friday night.
Yeah, that's when I ended up having time.
So yeah.
So,
What about you, Chille?
I've been leveling up on Gilgamesh recently. My character is now level 70, and it's eye level 362, I think.
Cool.
So
oh my God, how do you have a higher eye level than me?
He's Chille, and Chille hacks.
God, Chille.
I still have a new leaf. It's funny that I still have a leaf next to my name because it's only been about 40 hours.
You're a sprout and you have a higher eye level than me? I'm gonna go re-examine my life. Be right back.
I think the phrase here is hashtag get on my level, or actually get on my eye level.
Oh.
It's called being efficient at knowing how to level up.
It's called Chille has no life.
I'm just gonna play with Alpha now.
There you go.
See,
And Alpha is the best boy.
Alpha's cute.
And as far as me, I've just been doing the random stuff within Final Fantasy 14, getting, tomes. Been having some fun playing some other games, like we've been doing some Overwatch, and I've been having a good time with that. The Halloween event is going on for those of you who are playing that. Aside from that, like I said, it's we're just kind of gearing up for a lot of stuff coming up in the future. For instance, Extra Life is 2.5 weeks away now.
I should figure out how the heck one streams stuff. I'll poke you about that later.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm
otherwise,
sure.
like I said, if you want to just join in, we can, you can be in the party, and we can, do it on the twitch.tv/PhoenixDownRadio, and we can have it for some fun that way. But I'm more than willing to help you out if you want to start streaming on your own as well.
I mean, either way, but I have very little idea what I'm doing with it,
Yeah.
so should check in.
Yeah.
Definitely can help out with that. We are
And as always, I'll be
Go ahead.
helping you out on Phoenix Down Radio as well.
Greatly appreciate that. I'm also trying to get a few people, some of my friends, Daltrea and Nicknar, to come hang out with me during the 24-hour live stream on November 3rd. So if you have time and want to join us during that 24, actually technically 25-hour period, because that is the daylight savings weekend. So we will be giving for an extra hour because of that.
Or in my case, it already happened.
For us, it's fall backward, so we'll be...
Yeah.
No, we
Also
we
an
have
excellent
a-
time for a nostalgia play of Persona 3.
Yeah.
It's got the hidden hour in it. It's so perfect.
Now, but for those that live in the UK, remember the clocks go back on the 28th for us. So the 28th of October is when we get our clocks to change.
Okay, so you guys are a week ahead of us.
Yeah,
But
for some reason.
well, everybody, it used to be different for us too, but that's neither here nor there. We're currently at 750 of our $1,000 goal this year. So, like I said, if you have time and would like to donate to a very special cause, we would definitely appreciate that. I'll put links to our Extra Life page in the show description. So if you can't make it and you still want to donate, by all means, you can do that as well. And we will be working with the Final Fantasy XIV content creators group as well. So, we'll be doing some late night collaborations with some really fun games and having a good time, hopefully. So, put that down in your calendar and stop by and join us.
Fun is mandatory. That's how that works, right?
Something like that.
Awesome.
Chille, you've got an update on some other fundraising that has been happening in the community as well, don't you?
Yeah. She Heals I Tank had decided to announce a GoFundMe to get me to Vegas. Maelstrom Radio offered their Airbnb for me to stay in because they'd rented a big one this year.
That's
so
what she said.
Well, with the Crucible, who knows? So yeah, I'll be staying with Maelstrom Radio because they were generous enough to offer. Our main goal was reaching around $800, though I didn't actually need that amount to get to Vegas. So we have reached the goal for me to get there, but any money raised from now until when it's ended, the money will actually go to another content creator to help them also get to Vegas. So we're currently at $625, which is incredible, really. I want to say thank you to everyone who came to donate over the weekend. Especially Pete from She Heals I Tank, because he matched donations up to $100.
Dang.
Very nice.
Yeah.
So hopefully, somebody will also be able to be helped to get there.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I believe any extra money is not going to be going to waste. They'll either be donating it to Extra Life or helping out with the bill over at the Limit Break Radio Party, I believe. Correct?
Yeah,
Something like that.
Plan. Yeah.
Um,
Depending on how much is extra, of course.
Yep.
I'm hoping that we'll probably send most of it to Extra Life.
Yep.
So
I mean, your funds would be going to a good cause either way.
Yeah.
And it's made it so Chille will be able to represent not only Phoenix Down Radio but Maelstrom or Moogle Go Round. I had too many M's in my head. At the creators party. So I'm assuming you've contacted Kookie on that.
Well,
To let her know
Flash
you'll
has
be
for me.
there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm down as a VIP.
Excellent. So Seyrr and Chille will be there. Seyrr, can you maybe help give Chille some of the buttons that I sent down for you?
Sure.
Cool. So you'll be able to pick up some Phoenix Down Radio buttons and cards from Chille and from Seyrr. So there will be
Also,
we'll have some
official
swag.
Phoenix Down Radio noogies. Is that a thing? That's
No.
a thing now.
They be lore noogies from Seyrr.
There we go. Official Phoenix Down Radio lore noogies.
All right. Speaking of Final Fantasy XIV, a couple weeks ago they had released a 5th anniversary infographic. Have you guys had a chance to take a look at this?
That thing was entertaining.
All right, so if you
Well, you say info, but I say more like laugh track. I mean, info.
I did post it in the Twitch chat. I will also be putting it in the show notes. I'm sure a lot of people have been talking about this, but of course, the first number they put up there is the total number of players, and I put that in air quotes.
Yeah.
14 million,
Accounts.
signed up accounts, and that includes free to play, the free trial ones as well.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, that isn't a number to scoff at, but it's not a totally genuine number. But it's equivalent of the populations of LA, Tokyo, or London.
Well, I mean, and that can also include people who started and didn't come back. It's not necessarily active players.
No, it's in no way active.
I mean, there's people in our free company list whose their last login was over 5 years ago.
Yep.
I'm not sure why they're still there.
Because nobody wanted to call the list.
I suggest it every so often, and people are always like, well, what if they come back? It's like,
Then they can
do
ask
you
to
even
come back.
know any of these people? Yeah.
I mean, to be fair though, I have one message in my mailbox that's from 5 years ago, just to show how long I've been playing.
That's
But
what
yeah.
slash playtime is for.
Yeah. No, I mean,
They also had fun stuff like the full amount of in-game text.
Yeah. Well,
Which-
like the next one is actually cutscene time.
yeah.
Which is
Oh, yeah.
4,500 minutes of cutscenes, which is the equivalent of 38 watchings of Roman Holiday.
I swear this is
Viewings,
something
I
like
suppose.
Moogle Go Around would make.
I don't think it would go this in depth though, Chille.
Now, I rather like the fact that apparently the entire BGM soundtrack is long enough that if you were driving at, they said, assuming you're driving at 113 kilometers an hour, which they ask you to not attempt, you could listen to the soundtrack for the entire drive along Route 66 from Chicago to Santa Monica.
Yep.
Oh, 70 miles an hour.
Yes.
They do, of course, show the people happily driving along and listening to Under the Weight.
It looks
being
like a
done by the
Lalafell
police.
driving.
It
Yep.
is a Lalafell driving.
That
And
is over the speed limit, so please don't do that.
And being chased by the police. Then they show the one about poor Ridatin.
Oh yes, amount of light Ritin Sas Arvina has created.
For those of you who maybe
Assuming-
aren't familiar with what they mean by light, in the old relic weapon days, we had to grind for light to fill up our weapon to
have to do it
infuse
with
it
a
with
new relic.
power. Well, but we had to do that by going through different trials and stuff like that, and whatever trial we would go through would give us a certain amount of light. Now, Ridatin was the boss of the Cape Westwind trial, and he would give 1 light per defeat, and people would spam
Was
him
it
over
that
and
little?
over.
I thought it
Yes.
was more than a fate.
No, it was just 1, but he could be done in less than a minute.
Mm.
And
That'd do it.
so people would queue up, and they'd be able to get like about 40 of them done in an hour.
But so the measure they used was that if each kill of him, the amount of light it gave, was equivalent to 1 lux. A lux is a real unit of light measurement, by the way. Then the total number of kills would be enough to generate a month of clear, sunny days. That's a lot of light.
Yes.
How much
But
is
when
one
we
month
forgot the
anyway?
one of the weird ones is repair costs. The amount of gil spent on repairs is, what is it?
Oh,
1.8
yes.
trillion?
Yeah, 1.8
billion-
trillion.
Yeah, 1.8 trillion gil.
Which is enough
And-
to repair the Leaning Tower of Pisa for 530,000 years.
Assuming 1 gil equals 1 penny.
Yep.
Yeah. And assuming
Which, I
that
mean,
the price of the building doesn't go up every year.
There's like a general thing for maintenance because it's sinking in certain ways. But yeah, assuming there's not a super huge change in it.
Now they did actually give us one stat that actually is somewhat of a good stat to know, and it kind of gives us an idea of how many people are playing on an average day.
Yeah.
The number of people traveling by Aetheryte from Ralger's Reach is 800,000 people per day are using the Aetheryte there. So that's a pretty good estimate of how many people are actually playing the game.
Also, it's a little bit more than the number of people who use New York's Grand Central Station.
Yes, per day.
The next stat is totally the best one.
The squats.
Yep.
Yeah.
The number of squats so those House Fortom guards up at Camp Dragonhead who are performing squats, they've been performing squats continuously whenever the server is up since the game launched. Which they have the number at 77,200,000. Which, if you were to convert that into electricity, assuming the average human yada yada yada, it would be enough electricity for an electric car to travel the full circumference of the Earth. Fun side note in the infographic, they took breaks during world maintenance, so no squats were counted at those times.
Yes.
I just want them to redo the model so they got just really massive legs.
We didn't skip leg day, bro.
Also, Yoshi P has made a lot of business trips.
My God. He has made enough business trips to fly to the moon and back.
When does the poor man sleep?
503,311 miles in the air for business.
Oh my God, Yoshi P, get some sleep.
Well, he probably sleeps on the plane.
He probably sleeps on the plane. It's probably why he flies around so much, so he can have time to sleep.
Yeah. Very possible. But yeah, if you guys want to check that out, it is linked in the Twitch, and we'll be putting in the show notes as well. So you can check that out.
Yoshi P is the director of Final Fantasy 14.
Right.
This is about flying. This is how distance to the moon. Moon confirmed for expansion.
Moon confirmed, yes. We're going to the moon in 5.0. We're going to the moon in Half-Life 3.
Also, there will be a squats minigame, just like FF7.
Yes.
Yeah, well, they need to add stuff for the Golden Saucer. Why not?
You have to do squats to get your flying machine to work.
No. If we're going to be true to the thing, you do squats to get the wig so that you can cross-dress your way into charming the person who will give you the thing that upgrades your flying machine, I guess. I lost the thread somewhere.
Yes.
By the way, they're just rubbing the salt in the wound by having the Lalafell in the Falcon mount now. I mean, I still feel like...
It was probably Yoshi's Lalafell.
Yeah, but I just feel like we'd do another sort of mount like that. Yeah, because they got rid of the veteran reward, so they could have like a login.
That's true. But we haven't gotten anything else, any one of those types of events or subscription rewards. So
give it time.
I mean, but that was like that was before Stormblood.
Yeah.
Or no, it was when Stormblood started. I thought maybe.
Yeah.
So having one when
it's been 2
the new
years.
one announces, which has definitely not been announced yet, and is not Shadowbringers, so far as we know. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Definitely Shadowbringers.
But the thing is that yes, when Stormblood came out. But the thing is, though, it was announced to be like a replacement of the veteran reward, which we got like every few months.
Yep, and now we're not getting anything. It is.
So I mean, with that one, the thing they wanted was like for people who are starting anew, it's like there's all this stuff that they're going to feel like they're never going to be able to get.
Yeah. All right. So All Saints Wake, the Halloween event for Final Fantasy 14 will be starting tomorrow. And that would be what date is that? October 18th. I forgot what day it was today.
I have already seen people wearing their good old ghost costumes.
Yep. And if you happen to miss out on those, you can actually pick those up on the Mog Station now for $5.
Yeah. Including the previous werewolf outfit.
Yep, and a number of other housing items as well. I mean, I don't mind that they put it up for sale on the Mog Station, but I think $5 is a little bit extreme.
For the outfit, not too bad, but for the other things,
for the housing items, for the pumpkin stew and stuff like that.
So here's it's all the what the hell? Why is it all the same price?
Yeah, everything is the same price.
Yeah, everything's £2.88.
I would also guess that for some of them, if you go below a certain price, pretty much everything gets eaten up in credit card fees.
That's possible. True. Well, then they should make a bundle.
Yeah,
everything for $20.
The minions were cheaper than that, so music is. So I don't know.
Oh, I think that they could probably use some revamping in their price structure, but
I mean because this werewolf says it's almost the same price as a minion.
Mm-hmm.
So
I mean, in other housing or other sets like that have been like $8, $10, $12.
Yeah.
So I mean, the Though I think the seasonal stuff is usually less expensive because it was obtainable within the game prior to this. So, but if you're interested, some people want to get the glamour stuff. So by all means, don't let us stop you. That's not what we're trying to do. We're just sharing our opinions. Now, not necessarily Final Fantasy related, but it definitely is Square Enix and has a Final Fantasy part to it. Kingdom Hearts fans.
Yay!
Well, we all know that Kingdom Hearts 3 is coming out soon.
January.
Soon, TM.
No, they've released it. It's beginning of next year.
Yeah,
Oh.
January 30th, I think it is.
So right now, what they've done is on October 30th, you will be able to get the Kingdom Hearts The Story So Far collection. And I believe it's not just digital, but you can also purchase this, a physical copy of this.
Yes, physical.
For $40.
I am trying to hold back so many comments about this.
But I mean, for $40, you'll be able to get everything. Kingdom Hearts HD 1.5 plus 2.5 remix, which includes a whole bunch of cutscenes from the other games. As well as Kingdom Hearts HD 2.8 Final Chapter. So it's basically the equivalent of 9 games worth of story and gameplay for $40.
Well, no, I think it's 5 games and 3 movies.
Yeah, well, it's
5 or 6 games.
9 different things.
Yeah, 9
I know
different
that.
things.
So, but it's not all 9 games. Some of it is just the cinematics.
Yeah, some is just movies. Like the 3DS games are just actually movies. So. Not actually playable, they're just the movies of the games.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, Kingdom Hearts.
All right.
What's
Faraz
up,
is
Sam?
saying that someone's mic is popping. I'm trying to listen to see if I can hear who's popping. Is it Seyrr? Can you maybe adjust your mic?
Oh, that's not popping. That's me having my lunch. I'll
Okay.
unmute myself for a moment.
All right. Okay, but thank you for letting us know about that, Faraz. It's always nice to have make sure we're providing
you.
good quality. So thank you for that.
Or is it mine? I don't know.
Is it better now, Faraz? Just give us a heads up. We'll go ahead and continue. And then
But before,
go
okay,
ahead. You were going to say something about this as well now, Chille.
yeah, there's a digital bundle. If you're a big fan, if you've purchased the previous Kingdom Hearts, and you're a big fan of them, but you do want the remasters on PS4 and you haven't purchased them yet, then I do recommend just jumping down on I think it's $90, where you'll get the Story So Far collection, and you'll also get Kingdom Hearts 3. Though this is a digital only bundle and it's PlayStation exclusive.
Yep.
Because Kingdom Hearts is free is actually on Xbox. It's just that the bundle is not.
Yep.
And you'll also get all the pre-order bonuses for Kingdom Hearts 3, includes the exclusive keyblades, the wallpaper, and there's something else as well. And if you purchase that now for the $90, you can actually download all the Story So Far before 3 comes out. You don't actually have to wait until January. Although you do have to wait for 3, of course.
Yep, but you'll be able to download 3 right as it is released at that point.
Yeah, in fact, you'll be able to release it a couple of days before it's released, so that way it's preloaded for when midnight comes around
and ready to go for you to binge your lovely Kingdom Hearts goodness.
Yeah.
So you'll hate it forever and ever and ever. I mean, love it and things.
Let it into your heart. Unlock it.
Yes.
Dark, lightness, light, dark, dark, hearts, connection, light, dark. Have I got everything?
Sure.
Nobody's.
Oh, right.
And somebody.
Why didn't we get to keep Roxas? He was so much better. Oh my god, I have such a rant about this. I'll save it for another time.
I think they teased him for free, by the way.
I think so. I think you're right.
Yeah.
But
Ooh.
now, Seyrr, did you want to do a quick gotcha roundup? I can help with
All
a
right,
little bit.
so let's see what we've got going. Record Keeper is just finishing up their autumn festival. Today's the last day for if you did one of those gem-only selection draws. So do make sure you make those choices. Otherwise, you've got to wrap it up. The FF13 event, I believe, is on right now. Featuring some neat tech for Sarah and Noel. So that's kind of FF13 too. Defu, the city of Final Fantasy Opera Omnia, is also finishing up their autumn festival, and is about to have, starting, I believe, tomorrow, Sid from FS7 is going to be available as a playable character.
Yep.
We're also expecting sometime in the next couple weeks the first of Awakenings, which is, I don't know what they're going to call it in the global edition, but characters being able to break their level limit, go up to level 60 with new sets of passive abilities that give major boosts to their special powers.
Do we need
so
new
that's
weapons then too because of that?
So we are going to see the first of our X weapons, which unlock a special skill that can be used every so often that charges up during battle. So it's time for that good old gotcha power creep.
Well, it's a good thing I'm saving up crystals. But one thing to be reminded of, you only have, as of right now, there's only 7 days remaining of the Cactuar Conundrum, which if you're trying to level up the crystal level of your characters, this is the single best way to get those crystals.
Oh yeah, get an item doubler, get that going. Oh my god, so gorgeous.
Yep, as well as if you haven't leveled up your characters, you can get massive amounts of experience from doing this. I leveled up every single character to 50 during this.
I've got just one that's still at level like 20 something, but I should have them done before the end of the day.
I mean their character level, not their crystal level.
I'm aware.
Oh, so I'm actually ahead of you, Seyrr?
Yeah, I got distracted by some stuff.
Oh my god! For once, I'm ahead of Seyrr on a gacha game.
It won't last.
Exactly. He's probably kicking my ass on the their crystal levels anyway.
Also, they are having there are 7 days left on the special tokens that you get for clearing each of the chapters that allow you to select a 5-star weapon for a variety of characters. So if you haven't gotten those, get them now. They're going to have more of these in the future, but it's still a nice chance to get that item that you just couldn't pull for someone before.
Oh yeah, I was able to do that for a few characters, so now I think everybody is at least purple and most everybody is gold. So they've gotten a weapon and an armor that is designed for them.
I think there's like 1 or 2 characters that I'm missing because I didn't get... whatever, doesn't matter.
Exactly.
Mobius is having the last part of their big Final Fantasy X, Final Fantasy X-2 event. I believe that started yesterday?
Yesterday, yes.
Yeah. They also did release the new Supreme card, Braska's Final Aeon. So lots of fun Final Fantasy X stuff. They've been having the Final Fantasy X stuff going for a couple months at this point. It has been a very large scope event.
It is. How are you doing on all of that? Were you able to get Anima, the summon?
Not yet. I actually hadn't done as much Mobius the last couple weeks. I'm going to be... Actually, my plan is to do a bit more of that in the upcoming days.
Yeah, because I know that fight is extremely difficult, and the 4 fights leading up to him are actually you cannot continue in them. So they're very
That is a
difficult.
standard for their harder content. So I've got a lot of good stuff. I am looking forward to seeing what I can do with it.
But it is recommended to have Anima when you get to about a third of the way through the new area. So you start grinding off it and see if you have ideas on how to help me get through that would be wonderful.
I'll talk with you after.
Sounds good.
And then
else?
Brave Exvius is having their featured character Citra, the light-based summoner. Lots of fun stuff going on there. I always like the summoner characters, the ones who can evoke any Esper, not just the one they have equipped. They usually have lots of other interesting stuff they can do as well. I actually did do the first 4 steps of the Step Up Summon and got 2 copies of her, so I am very much looking forward to playing around with that a bit.
Ready to go level 7-star, huh?
Oh, yeah. And I think that's about everything going on in the gacha roundup at the moment. As I said, for a lot of them, there was like an autumn festival that's now getting about to its end, so we're entering a little bit of a quieter period before we get into the holiday stuff.
Yeah. So you can get a chance to save up some of your currency, so you don't have to spend it all on special.
Your family
draws.
didn't need presents. You should probably not listen to anything I say.
What? Sorry, huh?
Yeah.
Sorry, I was too busy spending money, so my family didn't need presents.
Damn it, Chille.
We'll call that a half victory.
Okay.
I mean, he didn't listen to me. He did the thing I said anyways, but it was by coincidence. So half victory.
because it's Chille. All right.
No, I don't recommend spending too much on gacha games. It's not healthy.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that's about the industry that is.
Well, isn't that outlawed in the UK or in the EU or something like that? Bits of that.
Loot boxes, yeah, they kind of are now.
Well, you think gacha would be in the same round as
Well,
that?
yeah, that's why. Like this, I'm sorry for bringing it up, but Dragon Ball, the Dokkan Battle game I play, because they didn't want to make sure there was no lawsuit with the new law, they pulled the store from Belgium and a few other countries, so you can't actually purchase the currency now in Belgium with real money.
Okay, but it's okay if you're able to do it with freely earned.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say at this point, we're kind of in this weird transitional point where regulation is starting to finally catch up to the industry and people are figuring out what this is all going to look like.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's going to take a while before we get anywhere.
You need to protect people from themselves.
I am not going to attempt to make predictions about it at this point.
Probably a good idea.
Yeah.
All right, let's continue on. It's a pretty light week when it comes to news because there's a lot of stuff coming up. Like I said, we got FanFest approaching in like a month from now. To make sure that if you are going to FanFest and you have not yet RSVP'd for the Limit Break Radio and Content Creators After Party at the Luxor, do go to the Limit Break Radio's webpage and check that out, and make sure to RSVP so you can reserve your spot and go see Chille and Seyrr, as well as everybody from She Heals I Tank, Limit Break Radio, gather together. I said She Heals I Tank, right? Maelstrom Radio.
Yeah.
There's going to be a bunch of cool people.
Denmo,
It'll be awesome.
Mr. Happy, and Sly. Ethis, I believe, is going to be there. So, Naruto Star.
Yeah,
Ooh.
and some people from Blue Garter as well.
Yep, I believe Sonoma will be there.
Yeah.
Awesome. Oh, I need to thank Hariko Star for all of the fashion report things.
Yep. Oh, and Gamer Escape, don't forget them.
Yeah, Gamer Escape. By the way, if you do not drink, there is actually now a secondary ticket for those that do not drink, which is $35 instead of $60.
That will give you access to the VIP area, but not the open bar.
Correct.
Otherwise, if you will be drinking, $60 for open bar for 4 hours.
Also, please drink responsibly.
Yes, we don't want people, or if you do drink too much, make sure you take a cab.
Yeah.
I mean, there's lots of options.
Yep.
But I mean, like, there's the drinking and driving thing, but then there's also your liver, your poor liver.
Thank God I don't drink.
I will on occasion, but it's usually like a glass of wine with dinner a couple times a month.
All right. So just wanted to make sure to mention that because that is important and it is coming up very soon.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be the Friday night during FanFest.
All right. So now we're at the point where we are about a little over a month into patch 4.4. So, if you haven't yet done the spoiler or the storyline, this is your spoiler warning. We will be talking about storyline and things of that nature. So, if you have not yet done it,
what have you been doing?
go do it and then come back and listen to us.
Seriously, there is the best scene. Like, several people were saying, like, it redeems this character that they had kind of given up on. I was like, they were always the best. You just didn't realize how subtly awesome they were. We'll
Exactly. All right, Seyrr, you want to get us started off?
Oh, all right. Because, we have a lot happening, even in, like, a relatively small number of quests. Mm-hmm. So it starts off at the Rising Stones, where a messenger from the Eorzean Alliance shows up, invites us to a meeting in Alamigo to discuss the Ascian menace. Given the events of the previous patch, where Xenos' body is on the loose, does seem like the Ascians are making a move. We also get word that Thancred is on his way back to Alamigo with important information from the Imperial provinces. We have I'm tongue-tying myself. So the various resistance movements in the other territories besides Dome and Alamigo are continuing to fight. They have been bolstered by the recent victories of the Eorzean Alliance, but Xenos is continuing to pull strings and make moves in Garlemald, which just confirms our suspicions of Ascian involvement in the Empire. Thancred also reports having received a distorted message from Alphino on their secret spy link shell, but the heavy distortion meant that he could only make out the words "the burn." And so, knowing that Alphino's ship never made it to the Empire, we make our way out to Doma to check in with Hien and try to find a way into that barren wasteland. With Hien's assistance, we and the Scions make our way into the burn on the backs of Flying Yol. Our approach is disrupted by a sandstorm separating the group and forcing us to fight through the desert. Find lots of interesting Allegan ruins, terrifying creatures, specially suited for eking out an existence in this hard scrabble aether-starved landscape.
Basically, this is how we unlock the burn dungeon.
Yep. Which I was hoping. I wasn't quite sure if I expected having it as a dungeon. I suppose having it as an explorable place wouldn't have worked for a variety of reasons. Yeah. But it had a really cool feel to it. Stuff like the giant sandworm skeletons, the weird the Allegan ruins that had bits of the desert encroaching on them.
By the way, if you look at the map, the map we got with the collector's edition of Stormblood, you can actually see a picture of the giant worm on where the burn should be.
Yep. And in-game, that area is referred to as the first worm. I don't think it necessarily actually was the first one. It's just so freaking huge that it's easy to imagine stories were told about it being the progenitor of all sandworms.
The worm of all worms.
But we do eventually find a wrecked Imperial ship, though that matches the one Alphino set out with, as well as a number of bodies wearing the uniforms of the Emperor's personal guard. We do not notably find Alphino's body, giving us some amount of hope, but also trepidation that he may have survived the attack.
Or maybe the prisoner of somebody. Yeah. We don't know.
Yeah, the fact that the the Emperor's family, the Emperor's personal guard is involved in this, gives us pause that this is something becoming much more complicated in the internal workings of Garlean politics.
And then we leave.
Yep. I mean, at that point, we don't really have anything further to go on. We found the ship. There's no trace of Alphino's body. So, what then? Just wander the burn endlessly? We really have nothing to go on.
No, basically, at this point, we need to take the information we have and try and figure out a game plan.
Yep. So we do head back to Doma to be greeted by Lise, who has arrived in order to invite Hien to join in on an Eorzean Alliance meeting.
Which I thought that was kind of nice. We know that Alamigo is a part of the Eorzean Alliance now, but it was kind of, being that Doma is on the other side of the world, but we have close relations with them. It's kind of nice that they're including them within this, framework of alliance, of allies.
Yeah, I mean, it's against a foe as technologically adept and as powerful as the Garlean Empire. You want to look for any ally you can. Yeah. Well, we've worked with them on a personal level, so why not on the countrywide military level?
Yeah. Well, I know they are not officially members of the Eorzean Alliance because they're not a part of Eorzea.
Right. But the point of the Eorzean Alliance is that you have these people who, these countries that share this geography, who are making decisions for their mutual benefit.
Yep.
And a lot of the issues that Doma faces are not going to be relevant to Eorzea and vice versa. But on this particular thing, they do have common cause.
Yep. Or this is more like a United Nations kind of thing.
Pretty much. So Hien does agree to...
Can we call it Eidolon International? Sorry.
Well, I mean, we don't really have the Ilsabard continent or much of the south, so Then again, it certainly wouldn't be the first time we've had like European ones that were it's like, oh yeah, we've got a couple countries in the Northern Hemisphere. That's totally the world. Would not be the first time.
True. Anyway, sorry.
Anyways, so Hien does agree to join, but wants to prepare Doma for Imperial retaliation, and comes up with the idea after seeing the Eorzean alliance to create his own alliance of regional powers in the Othard region.
Yeah, basically, he wants to reach out to Dalmasca and some of the other
tribes of the steppe, Kugane, or I guess it would be Hingashi. Is the country
Hingashi, and then there was another a couple other ones. I had him in there, but I took him out. But
but just the various regional powers in Othard. They do, in the process of talking this out, devise a plan to help slow down Imperial Air Force advances. They note discussing some regional legends and identifying things found on the Allagan ruins in the burn. They come to the conclusion that the floating continent of Azis was made with land taken from the burn.
Yep. This was confirmed actually by Y'shtola, who was able to discern the ethereal signature of the land in the burn. It matched what she had seen when she was up in Azis.
Yeah, there's lots of interesting implications in this patch for what we know about the Allagans, for what we know about a bunch of other stuff. So I'm excited to see where that goes. But so as they end up deciding to try to adapt a similar technology to the shield generator that protects Azis in order to create something that will be able to block Imperial airships, given the burning of Dalmasca, which was once a key refueling point. This makes it that much harder for them to approach. They don't really have the option to go around due to the lack of fueling stations, and the shield would prevent their direct advance. The big problem there, of course, is finding a way to provide the massive amounts of power needed for those generators. Hien suggests paying a visit to the Ascian steppe, being familiar with the local legends there, and remembering one of, what was it? In the distant past, when all seemed doomed, a wayfaring soul came unto the steppe. Venturing into the northern crag, he received of Nama a sliver of her essence, a shard of the shining moon, and with it clove the tainted land from the earth. The end thus averted, to these fields did the wayfaring soul return. And venturing once more into the northern crag, he buried the shard, and made unto the heavens an offering of blood. Hien comes to the conclusion that the poetic descriptions in this legend refer specifically to Azis and Dalamud, suggesting that there is something in the northern crags that would have the power to lift such an entity up into the sky. We venture to the House of the Crooked Coin, just in the mountains northwest of the Mole encampment, which, side note, I have always been super fascinated about. So I'm really happy to see that we got some information about what exactly those are.
Oh, definitely. Because, I mean, yeah, I've looked in there and wondered, like, what the hell is this thing? I mean, I think I've even commented on that a number of times in stream. Is like, this is definitely not a natural formation sitting here.
Right. And there were some amount of legends about it, but there was still a lot of unanswered questions.
It's nice that the storyline is kind of drawing everything together and giving us this picture of what it actually is.
Yep. And Y'shtola is able to determine from analyzing the etheric signatures around the House of the Crooked Coin that it's actually Allagan artifact used to divert ethereal flows in the land. That this was something that was used to actually divert the ethereal flow away from the burn, making it into the burn, and that power is what was used to raise up Azis. Now, of course, while we would love to just go ahead, flip the switch, start using that ethereal power for generating our shield, the place is still a bit of a holy site for the Zayla, and so we do want to make sure that we get permission from them, given that we're about to be asking them to form an alliance.
Yeah. Aside from that, she also had noticed the fact that while this artifact had an abundance of aether, the land around it was rather devoid.
Oh yes, that was something that came up a couple times. She had been mentioned that she had talked with people in the Othard region and been getting indications that there was something strange going on with the ether in the land that seemed to be like waning somehow.
Yep.
And not even just there, but worldwide as well. We
Yep.
found out later on.
Yeah. I mean,
Right.
she had been working with Doman miners, and they had been finding a whole bunch of de-aspected crystals. So, I mean, there's a lot of crystals in that area that just have no ethereal energy, and she's seeing it here in the steppe. So it's just something to keep note on a little bit.
Yeah, keep an eye on that. That may be important for the future.
Hint, hint, it is.
Yeah. So the mole are certainly fine with us using this ancient sacred artifact for that purpose, but we do also have to get the agreement from the Dotharl because that particular site is an extremely important one for them. And Sadhu is not quite as ready to just give us her okay.
I think she just wanted to fight.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Like the impression I got was she's been wanting to have a fight with us for ages, and now she has an excuse to demand it, and she is going to take full advantage of that excuse.
Can you blame her?
No,
Yeah.
like I pretty much went for the response of, "Yeah, let's do this."
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, same as a monk. I'm like, yes, let's fight. Let's dance.
Chille just wants to punch things.
Yes.
yeah. I like to go for the kind of warrior poet thing, and it fits with that too.
Yep.
Uh,
It was actually a very good single player experience, I thought.
yeah.
It was.
So that one is the single player duty. Sadhu puts up quite a fight. It's a very pitched battle. I ended up losing it a couple times before Spender pointed out one particular feature of one of the ads in it that I was able to use to get through, because there is a very desperate, actually several desperate races against time throughout the fight as Sadhu keeps preparing more and more violent attacks.
Psh, and you call yourself a warrior of light. I one-shot it.
Yeah, I mostly did okay, but then that last...
As Bard.
Okay, so you get more DPS.
No, it's more the fact that I can run and gun. That was
that
very
too.
helpful. That was very helpful.
Yeah.
Excuse
And
you.
so, sorry. So as that bit of the fight wraps up, and Sadhu seems ready to charge up for yet another round, the fight is joined by Magnai, who is rather incensed that we're making these grand decisions about the fate of the steppe without consulting with the Oraniri and getting his blessing. And so, Hien and Ishtola hold off Magnai and his retinue as we continue our fight with Sadhu.
And in this part,
Though,
we actually get to fight as Ishtola.
Yeah, I mean, the
Yay.
standard thing would be they go off and do this thing and they're fighting in the background and we have to get through the fight. But no, the Warrior of Light is the one who's fighting in the background because it's our second role-playing segment and we get to be Ishtola for it.
Yay.
And I thought they did a pretty good job of simplifying her actions, but still making it an interesting battle.
Yep. So she has your Stone of the Seventh Dawn and Arrow of the Seventh Dawn. Like your basic conjurer spells, along with a cure. And you have to balance between keeping up the damage on Hien and his bodyguard? I guess bodyguard would be the word.
No, you have to keep Hien healed and take on Magnai.
Magnai and his bodyguard, right.
We're not fighting Hien. God,
Not
don't
yet.
care.
Give it time.
Wait,
But so
before we
balancing
move on
between
from
keeping the
this-
healing up.
Yeah, hold up, Seyrr. You wanted to say something,
Sure.
Chille?
Before we move on from this part, I do believe, you remember all those leaks about the job being early?
Mhm.
You know, I still feel like the leak was wrong in a way, and I believe that if it is early, then it's going to be something like what we're doing right now, where we'll get to try it out in as a role-playing instance.
Yeah, that's honestly my expectation as well.
Yeah.
Like maybe a certain NPC that goes by a pseudonym might be similar to one of the new jobs you might be seeing in 5.0.
Yeah.
We'll worry about that in a bit.
Yeah, we're not there yet, and we haven't gotten much of his story yet.
I will mention that in previous ones, like when Rogue came out, they did have a sequence in the story where Thancred pulled out some really awesome double dagger moves, jumps, flips, the knife throwing. Yeah. If the role playing concept had existed back then, I wouldn't be surprised if they'd allow us to play as Thancred and give us a couple of those abilities.
And remember, Alphinode's sister.
Yep.
Alice.
She's Red Mage.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
We got that before 4.0, so.
Yeah.
So yeah, they've dropped hints before. We'll see.
With the role-playing system, they don't have to worry too much about balance. So that's one of the issues that they have with releasing it too early, normally.
Mm-hmm.
So
they can just have a couple iconic abilities.
Yeah.
But yeah, that sequence again, it was a fun mixture of keeping keeping Hien healed, dodging through the various attacks, and making sure Hien doesn't get hit with them either. A couple of the active time events, very pitched battle, including like a very stunning finisher. But eventually, Hien and Y'shtola are victorious over Magni, while off somewhere else, the Warrior of Light does defeat Sadu, who seems very pleased with the fight. Y'shtola has one of the best goddamn lines in the game, in like the funniest scene of the patch.
Oh god,
that one I don't feel like spoiling too much.
Oh, you don't think it's been long enough?
So I will say, Magni gets an idea of another candidate for his Dancer in the Mist, his Nama. Y'shtola is not on board with this and executes one of the most... we need to research like ethereal healing technology because damn, Eorzea needs a burn ward.
But
it was so beautiful. Like, she didn't even like... She was just so casual about it, and she utterly crushed him. She is the sassiest sass that ever sass.
And this is coming from Seyrr, so that says something.
Like, Y'shtola is the newest gay icon. I declare it. Is she not the perfect one?
It was amazing.
Afterwards, she's like, yeah, what's even a big deal? That's not even the worst one I've heard.
Honey.
She's so amazing.
It was amazing. It was yeah, like I said, you need go do the thing if you haven't.
Magnego aside, the various tribes do agree to allow us to use the House of the Crooked Coin for our purposes, and so Y'shtola goes to release its ether. This does redirect the flow of ether back to the burn, which maybe gives us a hope of that area being revived at some point in the future.
Possibly.
Yeah. And we then meet up with the Eorzean Alliance in Alamigo, where Thancred proposes increasing the unrest in the Empire by spreading dissent, planting rumors about Xenos' death and miraculous recovery, and suggesting involvement of dark forces. Get that story back in its public eye, cause it to become a nation divided, and thus one that they can more easily divert those forces.
Yeah. Basically, at this point, he is suggesting that instead of a head-on offensive, we do a more subtle and planned sneak attack. Yeah, he's definitely, we're using subterfuge at this point.
Right, which against a powerful enemy like that, more subtle methods in order to prey on internal divisions and weaken them is really the way to go. But the Warrior of Light and the Scions are suddenly struck ill, clutching at their heads as someone seems to connect directly to our consciousness, sending us a message. That way, sorrow. History must be changed. Ahead looms a calamity. Ahead looms light, expunging all forms in life. Twin dooms only you can forestall. Only you. Let expanse contract. Eon become instant. Throw wide the gates that we may open.
You don't want to know how many times I had to rewatch the cutscenes to get this entire message.
There's some very interesting phraseology there. Some of that has shown up in previous Final Fantasies. I think some of those last bits were in Final Fantasy Tactics for the bit where one of the enemy sorcerers opens the gate to the final area using them. So there's some interesting questions about who's saying that and what they could be. There is a lot of debate going on about that right now, I can tell you.
Yep. Yes, Chille.
By the way, while you talk about rewatching cutscenes, I found something out because of my favorite YouTuber Mioni that I didn't know about. If you go to the book to rewatch cutscenes, there's now a little icon at the bottom that'll like if there's a divergence in the cutscene, you can watch the alternate version.
Yep. So you can either watch the original version, or you can watch a different version that basically shows your progress within the story. Like when you're looking at any of the cutscenes involving like Astinian and you are a dragoon, there's some different text with those, so you can watch either version, which is very cool. Yeah,
like I found out there's a different cutscene at the end of Stormblood with Astinian if you've actually played Dragoon.
Yep. Whether he's acknowledging you as the other as your Dragoon, or just as, hey, you're a cool dude.
Yep.
So with that cryptic warning, the experience ends, and everyone seems to be recovering except Thancred, who collapses comatose. His vitals do appear to be stable. There's no sign of poisoning, any other foul play. But at a loss for answers as to what's happened, the Alliance decides to continue on with the plan. Khan E. Senna, who is, of course, one of the most spiritual of our Alliance leaders, tells us that what we experienced was something akin to our soul being pulled from our bodies, or called, as she puts it. She believes that Thancred's sensitivity to ether, due to being possessed by La Habrea, is why he underwent a stronger effect of it, but is still unsure as to who exactly is trying to call us. We arrive back at the Rising Stones, where Urianger tells us of having a similar experience being called, planning to head to Alamigo to examine Thancred and learn what he can of what's going on. Urianger and Y'shtola discuss briefly odd etheric phenomena seen in Doma and the Steppe.
That thing we were talking about before.
Yep. And so they make plans to investigate fully, but once again, we have that strange connection experience, and the voice repeats, only you, throw wide the gates. And this time, both Y'shtola and Urianger slump to the ground comatose. Alice, being one of the only Scions who has not been afflicted at this point, asks that Thancred be brought back to the Rising Stones to be observed along with his comrades. And then...
You're cutting in and out now.
Oh, sorry.
So, basically, but before you continue on, I wanted to mention... It's at this point we're basically discovering that we're the only ones who are understanding what's being said to us. I think our echo is allowing us to understand the message that this person is sending out to us. Everybody else, when they're talking about their experience with this, is they kind of hear something, but they can't quite understand what is being said.
Yeah, there's a lot of interesting aspects about it. It's pointed out that Urianger was half a world away, but he was, not half, like a very far distance away, and he was affected by it too, which suggests that it's something where someone is specifically trying to reach out to the Scion.
Yep, and because all the Scions have a very special affinity to ethereal effects due to, certain things that have happened in the past.
Right.
And just, their knowledge as Charlayan taught, students,
there is
basically.
Something strange going on here.
Yeah.
And it's something where the people who are most able to help us answer it are also the ones who are being most afflicted by it.
Yeah.
So we are being very quickly left without any allies here.
Yep. But like I said, the only other person that hasn't been fully impacted by this is Alice. And it's at this point that she wants us to go to Maelstrom Command and go visit somebody.
Yeah, she's very distraught at this point, both with the potential loss of her brother and then with all of her friends dropping around her and feeling powerless to help. She takes this opportunity to revisit an old friend at Maelstrom Command. Our old friend Gabu. You may remember that kobold who accidentally summoned an interesting, or not, but summoned an interesting version of Titan and has been unresponsive since. Gabu remains mute and unresponsive, but Alice's opportunity to just see him, to voice her fears to him, gives her a chance to kind of regroup and strengthen her resolve. And she returns with us to the Rising Stones to outline a plan to help the fallen Scions, seeking help from the factions. And while that's going on, to just continue to move forward with our plans against Garlemald.
And it's at that point we also, strengthen our resolve to move forward with her.
Yep. I mean, we'd already been asked by a couple people to pretty much, hey, keep an eye on Alice, just to be that person who can be there for her.
Yep. Now, this is probably the most interesting part of the storyline so far.
I would certainly say the most unexpected part. Threw a lot of stuff into question.
Yes. So, meanwhile, in the Imperial Palace...
They do like those little meanwhile tags.
Meanwhile.
Yes. So basically, Xenos is talking with his father, saying, the Populares are no longer an obstacle to our plans. Now is the time to strike. He wants to exact revenge on all of
Chew on that scenery a bit more, Klauss.
But the Emperor...
Oh, mustache here.
...says nothing. It's at that point we see a flashback of Xenos in a white robe holding an Ascian mask in his hand. That looks suspiciously like one belonging to Elidibus.
Yes, we did have that scene where an Ascian, several patches back, where an Ascian seemed to reveal himself to the Emperor, who then was shocked and angry about it. And we got to see what was under that mask at that point.
So we've basically now been confirmed that Xenos is being possessed by Elidibus, the messenger, or the what do they call him? The
emissary.
The emissary. Thank you.
Side note. If you want to get Moose wound up, talk about how your latest theory for how Elidibus is still somehow not clearly a bad guy. The poor guy doesn't get how no one seems to be able to see this. He is clearly fucking with us and probably evil.
Yeah,
What if he isn't evil, though? He might be a good boy.
He is clearly batshit insane.
I mean,
he may be fully sane.
Elidibus did nothing wrong.
No.
Oh my God, no!
That's Gaius. Gaius did nothing wrong.
Do you want Moose to kill you? Because he's going to be at FanFest. He might throttle you.
But basically, with at that point, without getting an answer, Elidibus in Xenos' body, he leaves the throne room. But another man comes out from behind the throne and starts talking about playing his part to perfection and earning his rest. But thanks to La Habria's idiocy, Elidibus has called him back. This person calls the Emperor his grandson, basically revealing that he is Solus Zos Galvus, the founder of the Empire, who is an Ascian. The Empire was founded by Ascians.
Throws so much into question. The claims about the burn had always been that the Emperor saw it and it was a thing that had been drained by summoning, and that's what started him on his crusade against the Primal. And first, when we had learned about the burn, well, okay, we'll finish the plot stuff and then we can talk a little about implications for this.
So the Empire was solely created for the purpose of creating chaos and bringing the world closer to another calamity so that they can get that much closer to the rejoining.
What twists?
And in probably one of the coolest parts of this scene, Varys shoots Solus, and his body crumples and tumbles down the stairs to the ground, only to have another one appear behind him saying, "You can't kill me that way."
And I mean, I think he knew that. It
just
like,
made him feel better about the whole thing.
Yeah, it's kind of like the equivalent of being like, "Shut up, Dad," only with a gun.
Yes.
Yeah. Ancient Ascians, go figure.
Like, oh. Yeah, I'll save it. Yes. But oh my God, there's so much that got recontextualized from that scene. So many new questions and a lot of old questions.
I really can't wait.
No, can't wait. We're almost done because after that scene, we do cut over to yet another meanwhile in one of the Imperial provinces where Alphino and the Shadow Hunter reach a resistance.
Shadow
Not
Hunter.
proven yet.
It's totally Gaius.
He asked us to use the name Shadow Hunter, and we're going to respect his choice of names.
Guys.
Shadow Hunter.
Don't dead name Shadow Hunter.
Don't assume his name.
Dead naming is the term we want here.
Done.
Anyway,
but we do see them reach one of these resistance encampments, only to find everyone on the ground, sprawled out dead. Discover that they had been killed with Black Rose, that many of you may remember, a biological weapon that we encountered in a series of quests out in the fringes back at the beginning of the expansion. Apparently, during all those years, the Empire had continued its research on it.
And they basically just are now using it to take out their enemies.
Clearly,
basically,
sorry.
This whole thing was the Ascians' plot to basically, continue to spread chaos. They never intended to rule the world. They only wanted to sow discord and strife.
Yeah, I mean, Solus even makes the comparison to the Allegans. You've got this huge world-conquering empire, and then you just build it up, encourage its worst excesses, make the resistance against it that much more fevered, bring it all up to this boil, and then unleash it. Hello, Calamity.
So yeah. It's quite the storyline, huh?
Mm-hmm. Lots of good scenes and fun stuff and interesting development, but it was definitely that scene in the Garlemald throne room that threw so much into question. Hang on, I'm going to plug in my headphones.
Yeah, we've been noticing you've been kind of cutting in and out just a little bit. So
yeah, I think the battery was a little low. So you of course have this thing where the founding was based on a lie, where at first in the burn we find that, oh hey, the cause of the burn wasn't what we thought. And it's like, okay, maybe the Emperor had been mistaken. And finding that, no, this was a purposeful lie. This was something he said in order to manufacture this reason to go to war, this justification for conquering these other nations.
So that brings up the question, how long ago was the burn actually formed?
So, I mean, given that the land from it was used to create Azus Law, we are talking at least 5 millennia prior.
So it's not something that happened in between. So, and that would 5 millennia ago, that would be the third astral era?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, so the burn existed during the Great War of the Magi.
So, I mean, two things to note on there. First off, of course, is that the War of the Magi, in terms of who was participating in it, was localized to Eorzea. Mm-hmm. And so you have, this stuff is happening over on the Othardian continent. It's unclear just how big that flood was, and there has been some discussion of just how big is a calamity, how much the world does it affect. This is something that we still don't have a lot of answers.
The reason I ask is, we had seen in story explanations that a major reason for the Empire wanting to basically stop all summoning in the past was because of the burn and how all of its ethereal energy was absorbed by primals. Now, I had assumed that was primal casting in the not so distant past.
Right. The story was
less than a few centuries ago.
the story was that the Emperor came upon the land as it was, and learned that it was as a result of primal summonings that the ether had all been leached out of the land.
But now basically we have learned that the ether was leached out of the land long before, during the Allegan rule.
And it's not necessarily clear. So we know the artifact at the House of the Crooked Coin was used to divert the ether flow away from the burn. It's not necessarily clear how quickly it died out.
Yeah,
Whether it was something that was like...
Go ahead.
Whether it was something that was like a slow process over centuries, or whether it was something that happened over the space of a couple years or something like that.
Or maybe
just
the fact that it maybe at that point, with no replenishment of ether going in the zone, it's possible that, any type of primal summoning may have taken a larger toll than would have normally happened.
Right. Or I believe a lot of the energy from it was also being used to lift Azus Law. There just wasn't replenishment afterwards. Maybe.
Yeah.
One thing to note, and this is another one that the lore mongers have been discussing and a little frustrated about, a lot of people are reporting speculation as proven fact. Facts have citations.
Yep.
If you cannot directly cite a thing that directly proves it, it's not a fact, it's a theory.
Yeah, basically, we're just discussing ideas right now.
Yeah, the other one that gets a lot of people worked up is the idea that Hydaelyn is intentionally devouring other worlds in order to replenish her energy. This is something that someone theorized and has been passed around as gospel truth by a lot of people, even though there is no actual evidence that that's what's going on.
Yep,
and that is one that will get a lot of arguments going in the loremonger circles.
There's a major difference between canon and headcanon.
I thought there was something to do with that when the Warrior of Darkness, The
idea that Hydaelyn is purposefully going around devouring other worlds. And that's what happens with this.
I thought it was something to do with when the balance got too much in their world, that she sort of pushed them to... We lost one?
No, that's a theory that some have, but there's also just as much support for the idea that... Imagine it like you've got a lake that's been divided with dams and dikes into a number of things, and someone breaks one of the dams. Yeah. That the stuff just flows into the central lake. That it's not the central lake reaching out and devouring it to replenish its energy. Okay. That's just the stuff flowing back together. Because one of those implies a lot of intent.
So you're cutting back in and out again, Seyrr.
Yeah,
God damn it. But yeah, the big thing being that the other one implies a lot of purposeful, intentional behavior on the part of Hydaelyn, as opposed to just, it's just rushing back together like water flowing back into a lake.
Well, I thought of it as more of a reactive behavior than actually, she's not trying to destroy the world, just that.
But again, there's no actual support for that being what happened.
So it's a theory that people are coming up with.
Yeah, it's a theory that a couple prominent people said, hey, this is an interesting idea, and then several others started pointing to it as, this is proven fact, when there is no actual citation for that anywhere.
They've now created a religion around it.
Wouldn't surprise me.
Isn't that how it starts?
Children of the Hydaelyn.
Oh, and then given another month, they'll have their own primal.
It's gonna pop up in Vegas.
Oh God, please no.
That'd be amazing.
Yep. But Chille, you're gonna turn into a primal. Did you know that?
Oh yes.
Oh dear.
I knew something was happening.
But yeah, there's lots of the fact that Solus was doing the scene way back when, where Varys ascends to the Imperial throne and spits on the body in the coffin there. Changes a lot once we've realized that, hey, he knew that Grandpappy Dearest was an Ascian. And so he's like, I spit on all this, I'm going to create a better empire. Except he's still kind of a puppet on the strings, being told to just play his part.
I feel like he is one of the things that's going to be a major plot point in the next expansion.
Yeah, it definitely changed a lot of okay, what's going on with him? What does he want? It throws a lot more of his motivations into question, and I'm interested to see how that develops.
Definitely.
I really feel like he doesn't want to be doing what he's doing.
Very much so. The question is what he's going to do about that, of course.
All right.
Hire us. That's what everyone does.
Maybe.
So, thoughts. Now, let's jump into just a touch of... Go ahead.
The other thing I wanted to, is... So 2 things I want to throw in there. First off, the bit where Solus takes on the form another thing is very similar to what we saw happen to that one Sahagin priest back at the summoning of Leviathan. And so still lots of questions about what exactly is the nature of the Echo here. There's yet another thing where people have a lot of theories about what the Echo means, what it can do, and all that again are unproven. The big thing is we don't actually know yet. And then a second. And the second is, I feel like almost no one else thought about this. Moose did, and that gratified me a bit. Those poor guards who were watching. What happens to them?
They just
they're Ascians as well.
They seemed kind of surprised by it. There have definitely been a couple scenes in like Imperial throne rooms and the like, where some crazy thing happens and this person's like, wahaha, and this whatever. And it's like, and there's guards here who are ostensibly keeping things safe. It's like, are they leaving that throne room alive?
Yes.
I'm going to go with no, yes and no.
Yes, but they die in their sleep.
Maybe it's like the Doctor Who, where the room is like got a memory wipe, and when they leave, they lose their memory.
Maybe. But it's like, why do they keep doing this in front of their guards? I guess their lives aren't really worth much to them, but
because they're there just to sow chaos and
because Ascians.
Yes.
Oh, those poor guards. No one ever thinks about the guards.
So I think we should basically stop at that point as far as discussing story, and then on the next show we can talk more about the AlphaScape conclusion.
Oh, there's still stuff I want to sort out about that. There's some interesting philosophical things about it. We'll get to that though. Yep. But yes, next time for that.
Yes. So what I propose right now is let's talk a little bit about speculation as to what we've seen and what that means for us. First question being, who the fuck was calling? I've heard a lot of people saying that it's Zodiark.
Like, there's a lot of the words that are said seem to call back to ideas that we've explored before. The idea of of there being a flood of light being just as bad as a flood of darkness. That we're somehow walking the twin dooms of, oh hey, if the conflict continues to escalate, we're going to head right to a calamity. We're going to play out the tragedy of the Third Astral Era all over again.
Yeah.
But if we defeat Garlemald too soundly, do we end up with a flood of light like what happened to the first?
That's why I still believe that we're gonna win. We're gonna beat Garlemald. We're gonna Thancred's thing's gonna be successful, but because of that, we're gonna bring our own light calamity. Now, I don't think it's gonna do the same as like a previous calamity where it's gonna cause as much destruction. But I feel like it's going to be our fault, and that's hence the name Shadowbringers, because, In
5.0, we're going to have to do something to increase the darkness.
Yeah.
Maybe. We need to, bring some shadow to it because there's, way too much light.
So we end up maybe working with Unakalhai, who has some sort of connection to the Ascians.
Yeah. I mean, this wouldn't be the first time. They've had it for previous expansions as well, where the name turned out to have multiple meanings. Like Heaven's Word referring to the Heavens Ward, and to the fact that we're heading towards the heavens. And there's a couple other interpretations as well. But the idea that, hey, this title has multiple meanings wouldn't be the first time.
Yeah, I feel like we're going to be the one that brings the next calamity. Somewhere. I don't think it's going to be like Bahamut style, but enough to cause,
a major shift in the ethereal balance.
I mean, the big thing seems to be a calamity is something that shatters one of those dimensional walls and destroys this other world. So I mean, if it's enough to be a calamity. After that, it doesn't matter what the size is, as long as it was enough to rupture those walls. So, does it matter?
That's true. But that'd be a great way for him to talk about bringing in Zodiark into the actual plot.
Because
because they've been teasing Zodiac since 2.0. So it'd be interesting to see if we actually get to fight it eventually, or meet it in some way.
Yeah, I definitely feel like this is going to be a much more Ascian focused expansion. Like 4 was Stormblood wasn't really, and 3 had some elements of it, but then it was like oh hey, the Ascians get taken over, and not taken over, they get pushed aside by Ishgard's issues.
It ends up being a we fix 1,000 years old divide between the dragon kind and the Ishgardians.
Yeah. I get why Solus is a little bit annoyed. Like, the Ascians that they've got there are fucking things up pretty hardcore. He had to come out of retirement.
Well, we're pretty badass, though.
Well, yes. Like, that does seem to be one of the difference between the previous calamities, where there are these people, the Archons, or whatever you want to call them, who helped preserve knowledge and save people and make it not as bad. But there hasn't been someone like us.
No.
So, like, the question of what exactly are we, and what is the nature of the Warrior of Light? How exactly do we end up in this? Is there something quantitatively or qualitatively different about this time around?
Also, are we the one causing the lack of Aether?
Huh, that's an interesting theory.
That the Echo is maybe actually pulling in ethereal energy from around us?
Yeah.
A la Primal style?
Yeah.
We have started to take on that level of belief. Like, we're starting to become this is me spitball speculating, and none of this should be taken as fact.
Yeah, so I just thought of it right now as we're...
Yeah, but like this idea that, hey, is there that kind of belief clustering around us? Like, people talk about how awesome the Warrior of Light is. There are all these things ascribed to us. Like, is that starting to have some... Oh, and that does remind me, they talked a little bit about finding out that the nature of the summonings performed, like the one for Tsukuyomi, where it's not the same as the ones that we had in Eorzea, where you have this intense, ardent belief and desire and all that. You just had this focus artifact. And there was like the belief in the religion, but not necessarily the same burning fervor, but it was still enough. So like this again ends up bringing up questions about the nature of what exactly are primals and summoning, and what exactly is all this? And are they even the same thing, or are they look similar to us, so they call them the same thing, even though they're working under different principles? We don't know.
Though one thing they do all have in common is a large collection of crystalline ether.
Yeah.
Yep. You need the ether for the entity to take its shape, but how it actually gets that, gets its impetus, gets its form, all of the stuff from that's less.
And all of these things are able to happen because of Ascian influence.
Yeah.
Yep. The Ascians are the ones who went around teaching the various tribes the secret of summoning, even as they're planting this idea in the heads of the Garleans that summoning is a danger to the world and it has to be stamped. Yeah, like they're creating this entire thing in order to justify their war, which to them is all about, will this ramp up the chaos?
So, I mean, is it possible that there was Ascian influence in the Allegan Empire?
Oh, of course.
Almost certainly. I mean, Solus talked about being his work in the Allegan Empire, didn't he?
Yeah, I think he did. I don't know if he mentioned that he was part of it, but he did mention
he talked about the scope of the Allegan Empire versus where they're at with the Garlean Empire.
Yeah.
But I didn't read as deeply into it.
Yeah, like I don't think there's any question that the Ascians were involved in that as well. Every one of these calamities has had an Ascian somewhere pushing their fingers ever so subtly on the scale.
Damn you,
It is their
Ascians.
ardor.
So did some of the Allegan technology, was that influenced by Ascian design?
Entirely possible. Like, hey, this person, like, they're doing research on something. They're so close to a breakthrough, and maybe you just whisper a little something in your ear. Try running the experiment again, but kick the power up just a little more. See what happens.
This one goes to 11.
Well, they don't even have to do that. What if they just, what if they could possess them and then just doodle it down while they're not noticing?
I mean, there's a lot of ways they could go about it. They seem to prefer the more subtle ones. They seem to have really like this whole thing of being the unseen mover, this very subtle hand making these tiny adjustments.
But then there's some of them aren't like that though. Like remember the one who took Thancred?
Yeah,
a little different.
That was La Habrea. He was a little bit. Yeah, he was a little bit more upset by the way things were going in with the Ascians.
In part because he tried the subtle approach and we were making it not as great.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to talk for ones who were a bit more overt, talk about Nabriales.
Yeah.
Well, and then the other one being Solus, but we don't really know what Ascian is. Solus.
Yes, that is one of the things that there is a lot of debate on. And again, there is no actual proof in any particular thing. So anyone who claims to know definitively is mistaken or lying. When did Solus become an Ascian? Was it something where after he'd started this climb towards the Empire? Was it something where he'd been an Ascian all along? Like, when did he become possessed by an Ascian? When did this start being a thing?
I know we don't know, but I want to say from the start.
What do you call the start here?
The start of the Empire.
The start of the Emperor.
Okay, because there could also be stuff like because he was, for instance, I think he was a soldier for a bit before he started the Empire, or like you could say the start of his life when he was born, little baby Ascian.
Yeah. No, I feel like it is maybe he died. Do we know if he was a really big, really famous soldier?
I'm not sure.
Oh, you mean kind of like along the lines of the whole mythos with Ra's al Ghul in the DC universe?
Okay, well, I was also thinking of like Zack and Cloud.
Okay.
Where in some ways where he died, but then, he was...
Someone else assumed the identity?
Yeah,
only in this case with a literal body snatch.
Yeah.
And, so let's see.
He let himself age just so that people didn't, find it weird that, he...
All right. Yeah. So, I've got text here. He was born in the year 1489 of the 6th Astral Era to the esteemed House Galvus, a distinguished family of pure-blood Garleans in the then-small Garlemald Republic. Joined the military at the age of 16, distinguished himself as a brilliant tactician and statesman, attained the rank of legatus by his 24th name day. Shortly after achieving that rank, he learned of the newly invented ceruleum engine, saw great potential, guided the development of magitech weapons, devised tactics using these war machina, saw them integrated into the army.
That sounds like a great time for an Ascian to make its appearance.
Let's see. To expand its small army, Garlemald recruited subjugated peoples, promising to better their lives with magitech in exchange for service. In 1517, so 4 years after he became a legatus, he was granted control of Garlemald as dictator by popular support. He proclaimed himself emperor about 5 years later.
So maybe around 24, you think?
So let's see. He was 24 when he became a legatus, 28 when he was declared dictator by popular support, and then 33 when he proclaimed himself emperor and created the Garlean Empire.
By the way,
there are many points in that history where it would have been reasonable for like, okay, there's now an Ascian pushing the strings, depending on like, where did they see something where they want to start early, or were they just like, hey, there's multiple ones coming along. Oh, hey, this one seems like it's going to work out. Let's go for that.
All I know is you were able to say the sentence, dictator by popular demand.
Yep. A dictator is just someone who dictates, who tells you how it's going to be. Like, a benevolent dictator might actually be a pretty awesome thing to live under. It's just how do you ensure the benevolence.
Right.
I believe that he let his body age so that people didn't find it suspicious that there was an immortal being that was ruling over Garlemald.
Yeah, one wonders, like, this starts getting into weird stuff of, like, how Ascians affect the biology of whom they're in and things like that, but this is probably something that is well beyond the scope of anything I'm going to get Koji to answer at FanFest.
Doesn't mean you can't try.
Oh, I've got other stuff to ask about.
All right. I think we should go ahead and put a pin on this then.
Yeah, there's a lot of unanswered questions and a lot of people trying to speak authoritatively about them. So do be careful about that.
Yeah.
Facts have citations. Everything else is theory.
If you want to discuss this
Okay,
more, guys,
theory.
go ahead and join us in our Discord. The Library is a great place to ask questions regarding this, and we have a number of people who are more than willing to discuss this with you and maybe come up with a theory behind what might be happening.
And even without a theory, we can certainly discuss, hey, here's what we do know, here's what we don't know, here are directions to be looking in. Quite frankly, during slow times on the information desk, I will go ahead and just pop open the web client for Discord and see if anyone's asking about anything interesting.
All right, so I think we had a pretty good lore discussion with that as well. So let's go ahead and hold off our job lore discussion for the next show.
Yep. Plus, you've got to get to work soon, don't you? You should have a little time off before that.
Huh? What? Who?
Klauss, you have work soon, don't you?
Oh, no, I go on call soon.
Okay, but still, a little bit of downtime to relax before that
Yeah.
would be nice.
Basically, I guess I think for being kind of a makeup show, we've gone an hour and a half, so that's pretty good.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with this.
All right.
Though, again, people ask those questions, giving that speculation, like big questions, small questions, even the small ones sometimes gets to some really interesting discussion. So, like, ask whatever you're thinking about. There is no such thing as a stupid question.
All right. So
I mean, there are, but the people generally know they're stupid questions. And most of them, I don't think I've seen an actual thing that I would call a stupid question at any point in the library.
all right,
Like,
guys.
there's stuff that people thought was somewhat obvious or whatever, and it turned out, no, this isn't necessarily obvious. Or, hey, there's actually some interesting interpretation. Or, yes, this is relative to that, but then it leads to this other interesting thing. So
Challenge
ask.
accepted.
Just ask me stuff. Oh my gosh, I get so bored sometimes.
Anything else?
Oh, I think that's about it I've got.
All right, so that's going to do it for this episode, guys. If you liked what you heard, please make sure to like, subscribe, or follow us on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, or whatever your preferred podcatcher is. And if possible, please leave us a rating and review. It really does help other people find our show and let people know what you think of our show. And if you're really digging the show, please consider subscribing here at Twitch, at twitch.tv/PhoenixDownRadio. Or if you want, you can support our Patreon at patreon.com/PhoenixDownRadio, like the amazing Aurori Fenrir. All proceeds we get with that goes towards growing the show, covers some of the behind the scenes things like hosting costs, and allows us to do giveaways and things like that. But no matter what type of support you give us, it's all extremely helpful. We always appreciate any likes, retweets, follows, subscriptions, or whatever. It's always greatly appreciated. We really love interacting with all of you and the rest of the community. You can check out our website for the entire back catalog of all of our podcasts, as well as Moogle Go Round Radio at phoenixdownradio.com. If you have a question or want to just talk with us, you can email us, podcast@phoenixdownradio.com. If you don't already follow us on Twitter, you can catch us at PHXDN Radio. Or if you want to see all of our back episodes in video form, you can check those out at youtube.com/PhoenixDownRadio. Shout outs. Who wants to start?
You should go for it, Chille. I'm still figuring out what I want to shout out.
Well, that's okay. I want to shout out to everyone that turned up Saturday thing. Thank you again. Shout out to the PlayStation Universe crew. We got Unchained and the anime podcast done on time this weekend because we can now, which is good. Back to schedule. A shout out to Klauss and Seyrr right here. So I look forward to seeing you at FanFest. A shout out to everyone that's watching right now. Grimhelm, Fair Eyes, Kelda Fantasy, Aurori. Thank you all. And go check us out at twitch.tv Phoenix Down Radio.
And where can they find you?
You can find me at Chille UK on Twitter.
Or at ben.chillebeerhall@psu.com.
Yep.
That one's harder to spell, though.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think you can also email him at chille@phoenixdownradio.com. Little easier. Seyrr?
Let's see. Shout out to my friend Andy who helped me make that really good baked potato. Oh my god, that was good. And
I'm
still
jealous.
thinking
It
about
sounds amazing.
I'll teach you how to do it later. If you have an
Yay.
instant read thermometer, it's actually super easy.
I think I heard you talk. But tell me anyway.
Yeah, I'll tell you about it later. Let's see. Man, shout out to the many people in all those Reader on a Lighthouse runs. Like there were so many, and people were actually pretty good about it. I was a little worried when I was trying to get my eye level up, but people were competent and knew the fights, and it was great. And occasionally someone else main tanked, but usually everyone just stood around for a bit, and I was like, okay, fine. And then I threw axes at things, and then I pushed buttons.
Seyrr, smash!
Yeah, it was like, well, no one's doing this, and I want my clothes. I still want that body, damn it. I am going to be Hero King Delita. It will be great. But thank you to all the people for being awesome players who put up with my occasional inane ramblings, because a couple of them were pretty late at night.
And how can they find you?
So you can find me on Twitter at FFXIVSEYRR. I mostly tweet random interesting things that I cooked or funny stuff I found at the library, or occasional musings on pretty much anything, really. Like it is the life of a librarian. Everything is in your sphere of influence. There's so much cool stuff in the world, guys. There's so much cool stuff.
And I, of
yeah,
course,
that's about all I got.
I, of course, want to thank my co-hosts, Seyrr and Chille, for working with me and being able to reschedule for tonight. I appreciate that. So we make sure that people aren't without an episode of Phoenix Down Radio for an extra 2 weeks.
What would they do without us? And shout out to all the people who did show up in the middle of the workday. I know, like, usually where it's a weekend, usually it's like something that's a little bit easier to handle there. So the people who did show up for that, thank you so much.
Greatly
the people who
appreciated.
didn't still love you. You're great too.
Shout out to everybody watching us live here at Twitch. Graham, Aurori, Fair Eyes, Kalida, thank you so much. Shout out to everybody who's listening on the podcast. We really do appreciate it. Shout out to Luna for coming back to the game and having some fun. Hopefully we can convince you to join us on an episode in the future. And so thank you so much for joining us. You can find me at PHXDN_KLAUSS at Twitter. So if you want to follow my inane ramblings as well, you can check me out there. And that's going to do it, guys. So for my co-hosts, Seyrr Timono, and for Chille, I'm Klauss Nightbringer, wishing everybody a wonderful evening. Thanks for joining us. Take care.
Phoenix Down Radio is a production of PhoenixDownRadio.com and Illusion Productions. Final Fantasy XIV and Eorzea are trademarks of Square Enix. In-game content for Phoenix Down Radio is the copyright of Square Enix. Opening music for Phoenix Down Radio is provided by Guilty Gear Rock You. Check out the Metal Chocobo theme cover and many other music videos at youtube.com/Guilty Gear Rock You. Closing music for this episode is provided by Guitar Wanker 90. Please check out their full version of Matoya's Cave and other rock video game covers at youtube.com/Guitar Wanker 90. The views and opinions expressed in this episode are those of Phoenix Down Radio and its hosts and do not reflect the views of Square Enix.